everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and inside of this video should be the finale for Massive Darkness 2, our one-shot play of the Demon Artifact scenario. If you haven't checked out all the previous videos in this showcase, I'll put all of them in the top right-hand corner to help you get a better understanding of how we got to where we currently are right now. We're going to dive right back into the action. The one thing to mention, you might be hearing a little bit more of an echo inside of my microphone, so I do apologize for that. I am in the middle of tearing down my entire studio in order to move, so there is a lot more echo going on than there would be normally. Don't worry, in the future that is going to go away. I have plans to combat this. Of course, we're going to be going into a brand new space. If you want to know more and you want to see some behind the scenes videos, check out my Patreon inside of the month of June. Individuals that are a part of that community are going to see some videos that are not going to be coming to YouTube whatsoever in terms of the behind the scenes move from my current studio to my new one. That's going to be really exciting, and there'll also be some exclusive videos going forward on a monthly basis. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into the gameplay and pick things up where we left them off in the last one. Now, our major 2 objectives left of the 4 things we needed to do, 3 of the 4 being picking up all the shards around this dungeon and then heading back to this forge right here in order to put together the demon artifact. We still have the color objective token way up north there next to the fallen angels. It's actually inside of its own chamber. We got to open up that demonic door in order to get inside of it. There is a token right behind that door. It's very small to see, so there will be another mob that's going to likely appear right there as well. We're also going to have to fight our way through here as the one portal that is in play for the 2 characters I'm controlling is spitting enemies from the north at a constant rate. So that's going to be quite interesting. We'll see how things go. So starting right now, I have a choice. Is it going to be Mathrin or is it going to be Phaedra? This time, let's go with Mathrin. Mathrin is going to use a move action in order to get into the same space as the skeletons. Mathrin's second action is going to be to make an attack. So Mathrin is definitely going to use his wooden staff, giving him 1 yellow die. He's going to pay a mana to use the gauntlets to get another die. He's going to pay 2 mana down here for Fire Course 1 to turn this attack into an attack spell by using one of the attack spells off his amulet. And as soon as we pay for this, which we do right now, we get 2 swords, and the defender is going to take a conditional fire token. We'll place that on the skeleton. We're also going to go ahead and rotate this spell over to the next position. These 2, of course, have been spent now. And we're going to go ahead and spend 1 mana here to gain another sword. So overall, we're going to have 3 swords. This thing's going to spin again. Now, the skeletons are interesting because they have an ability on the defense. When they get 2 hand symbols, they can add a skeleton minion to the mob, if possible, unless the attacking hero discards mana. Now, I've just used every single piece of mana that I have, so I'm not going to be able to stop that in this given attack here, but that's okay. Well, it might not be. We're going to go ahead and give 2 defensive dice here for the 2 blue there, and of course, there's 1 minion, so 1 black die is getting mixed in. We'll go ahead and roll these. All right, let's find out how we do. We can definitely, well, I guess we can. All right, it's time to find out how we do with this attack. Hopefully it's a successful one. I'm throwing pretty much the farm at it right now. We have 3 swords going into it. Let's see what else happens. Interesting, not any defense here. We only got 1 wound coming through. Now, in terms of rerolls, just taking a quick glance here, I do have the ability to spend a mana to get 2 rerolls, but I don't have one for free at this given time. I do still have that whetstone, I have this item that I got way back, and this is adding an orange dye to the fray, but I'm going to hold on to this for later because I think, based on the darkness track, we have a roaming monster in the future, so it might be good to keep that for later. This shadow symbol here, I guess we will go ahead and take the 1 wound right now. So 1 hit from Mathrin to resolve the black die, so he's down to 3 health. This shadow die here says use any attack spell on the amulet for free. Now here's the key. You can only use an attack spell once per attack. So even though I can do any attack spell on the amulet for free based on that shadow icon landing, I cannot do when I've already used this attack. So I've already used the 2 attack spells on my amulet. So there's nothing else I can technically do on the attack side of things, but I can go ahead and choose to heal 3, which is perfect timing because Mathrin has 3 health right now and his maximum is 6. So that's going to allow me to heal up to full health. Now we're going to go ahead and total up all the swords we have. We know we have 3 guaranteed swords, plus the 2 here is a total of 5, which is extremely close to killing off both of them. It's actually going to be 1 shy, but we do technically still have 1 more action with Mathrin after this, and there's a conditional fire token that could end up killing it if we were to leave that last leader alone. So Matherin successfully kills off the minion, also places 2 damage on the leader, so close to taking him out. We still have the conditional fire token, as I mentioned, that might do the job, but I think I might even just attack and kill it off anyway, so Matherin can reap the rewards, because there is a magic item that the skeleton is carrying that might be worth it. It's a rare one, so maybe be a good one for Matherin to grab. The other thing to mention is, again, if the conditional token kills the enemy, it would go to Matherin, because Matherin was the one that put the conditional fire token on the enemy in the first place anyway, so we could just run right past and take a damage for doing so and go on to better things and hope that the conditional token kills it, but that's just a hope. In terms of XP, we need to jump Matherin from 8 to 9, so that's exactly what I'm doing off screen right now. So Matherin's XP went up to 9, as I mentioned. We're also going to gain back 1 mana because of the wooden staff of doing the attack. So I don't have a ton here, but I don't really need much to kill it. I could, like I said, just go ahead and make my last action be an attack just to guarantee that it dies. I probably should do that to not give it the opportunity to, well, or have to slow down Faye as Faye runs north at an epic speed to try to get up into that last room. So let's go ahead and just make a final attack. I only have 1 mana, so I think I'm going to choose to end up placing it on the steel gauntlets here. Now, it's worth mentioning just off screen here, the spell that I use for heal does not force the spell amulet to rotate. Remember that when you get this shadow ability here, you don't rotate the marker. So it's still pointing at the heal 3, which is kind of handy. And if we don't want that, we can always pay that 1 mana in order to cycle that wheel around. And we can keep doing that for every position on the wheel, which is a really cool ability that Matherin has to really just manipulate that spell amulet at any time, using it over and over and over again, so long as he's not duplicating spell attacks, because he can't do that within the same attack. All right. That's all cleared up. Let's go ahead and make that final attack. So we're going to get a yellow die here. Pretty much the same division of dice we had the last time. We're still in a shadow space, so this is what it's going to look like. Except we get a little less from the amulet. Now the skeleton leader gets 2 blue dice, which is actually pretty powerful for just 1 figure, but we are up into the level 3 to 4 range now, so we'll see how we do here. Hopefully not a lot of shields on this, because I have no ability to reroll right now. So this may go south. We'll see how this goes. I need to get lots of swords, and I've only got, well, actually, don't have any guaranteed swords going into this one, so it could be a little dicey. Okay, so we got our, oh, look what we got, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, blocked by 3, but 1 slips through, and that's all we need to kill off the last skeleton leader. Check out the loot that the skeletons were carrying. We have the fire chain here, which is a double-handed weapon. You can attack. It is a magical weapon. You move the defender 1 zone towards you. If you do, you get to put 2 fire tokens on them. This is probably worth swapping out the wooden staff for. And it's also worth mentioning, because I did that last action as an attack, I am going to gain 1 mana back for having the wooden staff on me. And right now I'm going to switch it out for the fire chain. I also, because the rare item that was on the skeleton, just picked up this sun amulet that says defense, reroll all attack dice once per roll. That is worth considering slotting in as well. But it gets tough though, because I really love those steel gauntlets so much, and I use them quite often. 1 mana to get 1 yellow die is really good. So I think for now we'll put the sun amulet in my backpack or inventory, but the fire chain is definitely getting equipped. And just like that, the need for Matherin to go and trade to try and get that really cool weapon or magical item that Faye had is not really as important anymore, and maybe Matherin can actually make a push on his own in the future. We also get our XP, of course, so 1 additional XP brings us up to 10 for Matherin, which I'll do in a second, and then 2 more because it was a leader, so a total of 12. And Faye is going to move from 4 to 6. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with what Matherin was able to do that turn. We're flipping over the activation marker. We can head over to Faye. Faye ended up with some pretty good pulls out of the rogue bag, a 2 reroll, a +1 orange die, and a +2 movement point. Let's try and see if we can really get Faye moving really fast. Faye really can cover some ground quite quickly thanks to the +2 movement point if I choose to do a move action first, which I will, give me a total of 4. Now in order to get to that door and open it, I would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a lot of movement. But I can still get 6 movement out of 1 action, because I will take an action to move to give me 2. Using this token in conjunction is now 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this sprint potion on top of it to immediately move up to 2 zones. That is going to get me right to the door of the final chamber. And yes, of course, it is worth mentioning that I ran completely away from the common treasure that was in that chamber. I'd rather get moving and get to where I need to go. Now, the unfortunate thing is I didn't generate enough movement to crack the door. It would have been nice because then I could have really made use of these two other awesome tokens that I have for potential back-to-back attacks. I just couldn't swing it this time around. Taking a look at what I have available to me, I have nothing else that could force that to happen. So we're going to go ahead and make another move action for the second action to crack the door. The final chamber with a shard inside of it has an enemy barracks inside of it. It says on the card here, spawn the next mob with one additional minion if possible. Keep this card close to the mob deck as a reminder. Now in this case, the mob is literally the next step of spawning because there's the mob token in that room. So instead of 2 minions like normal, there will be 3 of them on top of the leader. Check this pairing out. This is awesome when it happens and it syncs up like this. And it does this actually fairly often. We got the undead. This is the level 3 to 4 version. Look how much health these individuals have, these undead. And on top of it, they're carrying a ritual skull. They're literally carrying the skull of one of their undead around. I mean, it's a perfect thing to have on them. Very creepy. The mob card also comes with a treasure token. It ended up being a rare one. And speaking of treasure tokens, there's one inside the chamber itself. So we're going to go ahead, pull one for that. It's also worth mentioning, it looks like there's some kind of party going on inside the barracks. Now I did kind of jump the gun in terms of not picking a token before I jumped in there. I should have done that because every time you use the rogue and you do an action, you're supposed to use a token immediately or choose one immediately. So I shouldn't have opened the door and spawned the mob before I pick one right now. But I can tell you I definitely would have kept the orange die regardless, knowing that there was a mob behind the door. So the reroll one is going to be the one that I end up toss here. And I mean, really that's a toss up as to which one's better because sometimes rerolls are actually really good, especially to manipulate all the dice from the enemy. So I'm not sure whether that could even be the right decision, but I should have done it prior to cracking the door and completing all of the rest of the steps of that. Now we're going into, I mean, technically with the move action, I have one more move, so I could move right into the room, and I need to actually, because now Faye is carrying a tainted sword. So when she wants to do melee attacks, she can no longer be one space away. She needs to be right in there. So her last movement of that second action is going to be to run right inside. Faye is not shy and is literally right in the thick of it, and this is going to be interesting because I only have one more action to go, and then the enemies are going to get to go. So whether or not that's a good decision what I just did, or whether I should have run away, good question. But I have 3 mana on Faye, and I think if I tie it all together with what Faye has for attacks, I hope I'm able to kill off at least a couple of these. But this could be nasty. We'll see how it goes. Going into this attack here, we've got the orange die for the Tainted Sword. The Defender -1 shield's not going to matter because these undead don't bring any blue dice into the fray. They're only going to have the 3 black dice. That's it. The leader doesn't have any defensive dice whatsoever. And the ability on the undead card is specific to attacking. So they're literally just kind of meat shields for the most part. So in this case here, we got an orange die here. Of course, I'm using this right now in order to get this orange die. So we'll have that as well for our last action. I'm going to spend a mana here in order to deal an additional wound to the defender. In this case, you can choose whether it's attack or defender, which makes that a really cool item. And then the gauntlets here, spending a mana in order to add 2 swords to the fray. So we're going to take these 2 orange dice, we're going to add 3 black dice to them and give them a roll. The good news is that these black dice can only hurt me with the wounds they can dole out to me, but the hand symbols mean absolutely nothing for the undead, which is great. Let's see how we do. Oh, that orange one flipped over to nothing. That's absolutely brutal. Now, do I have the ability? I do. I do have 1 mana that I can use for a combat reroll, which is part of Phaedra's character card. So I'm definitely going to do that. Let's reroll this orange one. I don't even mind the 1 wound. I'm fine with leaving it. I'd rather just leave it alone. I just want to see some more swords because right now I've got 2 plus 2 that I've already banked, plus the 1 that's there. And I know I can put a wound through, which is nice. That's 4, but I need at least 5 or more to kill off one of these. Oh my gosh, I got exactly what I needed. Plus I got some mana back. So 1 undead is killed off. I'm gaining 2 mana and I'm taking a hit myself. That's going to end off Phaedra's turn. We'll flip over the activation marker. Time to activate our mobs. I get a choice. I'm going to choose to have the Fallen Angels activate. They're just going to move forward 2 spaces. That's it for their activation. It's not going to be so easy for Phaedra, who's in the same space as the undead, who are going to make 2 back-to-back attacks against her. I put myself in this position, so I probably deserve this, but we have an attack here. If the hand symbol shows up, it states +2 yellow dice, and this mob takes 2 wounds. Interesting and also terrifying. So they will add more dice into the roll, but they'll hurt themselves doing it. Yikes. Okay, their magic attack can obviously attack in the same space or one space away, so that's a-okay. It's an orange die, so we're going to have 1 orange die in the fray. Now, taking a look at what I can do defensively, this thing right here is going to give me 3 blue dice, which is absolutely awesome. We have the pool of the enemy dice up here as well. So here's my defense dice going in the fray. What else do I have here to help me? This is not going to trigger. This will, actually I could spend a mana to hurt the defender. So let's actually do that for sure. Is there anything else? Not really. I could reroll a die if I wanted to with my last mana. Let's go ahead and make the roll. Notice something just before making the roll, there's an orange die for the undead leader's weapon, not a yellow die. They look very close sometimes under different lights, so make sure you grab the right one. So an orange die is in the pile now. In the last clip, it would have looked yellow. So we got a stronger die going up against this, which is certainly not good. Here we go. I might need to use a reroll here. We'll see how this goes. Okay, that's a lot of swords, and that is 1 hand hit, so that's not good. So let's go ahead. This is perfect. My defense would block everything from those swords, but this hand symbol would activate, bringing in 2 yellow dice, and the mob would take 2 wounds. I'm instead going to spend a mana during combat, as my character can, Faye on her character card, and reroll. We're going to reroll this one and hope that we can avoid that hand symbol. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, okay, we'll take 1 wound. I'm okay with that. A little bit better than 2 yellow dice being added into the fray. Yes, the 2 wounds going against the undead would be a positive, but 2 yellow, I just want to stop any damage from, kind of collecting and getting to a point of it being really bad for me. Now the fun part is we get to do this again, but this time I don't have mana to reroll anything. So we get what we get once we roll it. That'll be a lot more stressful. So here we go. It's also worth mentioning, you may have seen a mana sitting on top of the spiked boots. And that one I did not place a damage on the undead for from the last attack. So I'm going to go ahead right now and place 1 damage on, because those spiked boots that I have, I place a damage on when defending, or it says deal 1 wound to the attacker or the defender. So in this case, it's the attacker. So they do get a hit from my spiked boot, which I love, because while they're attacking me, it's like I'm kicking them back. But now I have no mana, as I mentioned. That came from the last attack. We're going into this one. We'll see how this pans out. Okay, so this is going to be, oh, that's bad for me. Okay, well, let's see how this goes. So we're going to resolve the hand symbol first. I guess I'll resolve the wound first. So the wound will go off me, which just dropped me down from 5 to 4. And then the hand symbol is going to bring in 2 more yellow dice. Let's make sure I get the right color this time. We're going to roll these, and the mob's going to take 2 damage on top of it. Okay, so they don't use mana, but the 2 swords are going to be completely blocked by my defense, which is great. So a good time for that to actually happen for me. We get 2 damage on the undead because, well, they hurt themselves while they do this special ability that they have. So that's good. So 3 damage. We almost killed one off or got one closer to dying. And of course, as I mentioned, they don't use mana, so that is all a wash. We now move to the level up phase. You'll see Matherin's ready to go to level 4. Has exactly 12 XP, which is a requirement, so we'll bump ourselves up all the way. We're going to drop all of our XP because we have the exact right amount in order to go up to the next level. So both of our characters are now level 4. The second one of them goes to level 5. We go up to the next tier level in mobs, which will be fun. Now this is a +2 maximum, so that's going to be awesome. So I do gain +2 health. So now the maximum for Matherin has gone way up. I've got 2, 3, 4, +4, so it's 8. And I'm at full health right now, which is awesome. I also get an additional maximum for my mana, so I gain that 1 mana right now. The epic treasure token, one of them, is going to come and go right into the treasure bag. The new spells that I get for going up to level 4 are Time Walk 2 and Battle Wizard 2. Unfortunately, neither of those I have prerequisites for, so I'm not going to be able to make use of them, but I can go back to prior levels 3, 2, and 1 and find something handy, hopefully. On the amulet, I've chosen to go ahead and cover up my attack 1. It's a decent bump, but this is much cooler. The Frost Armor 1 here allows me for 1 mana to place a Frost condition on the chest plate of any hero in a zone of the chest armor in line of sight. When attacked, that hero may discard it to gain +1 blue defensive die, and then the attacker takes the 1 cold or ice token. Level up phase is now done, and as of right now, Faye has 7 XP and needs, 18 XP to get to level 5, so it's going to take some work. We're going into the darkness phase. It's going to be an easy one this time around. It's going to be a epic treasure token going into the treasure bag. Now, it's worth mentioning, next up is going to be a roaming monster. Activation markers are now face up. We're ready to go into a brand new round of play, and I'm going to start off with Phaedra. All right, the 3 tokens pulled out of the bag for the rogue here. We have 2 rerolls, a movement point, and a yellow die. We're definitely going to be making an attack, so that yellow die will be the first one I use. With no mana whatsoever currently, and there's nothing stopping me from recovering right now as an action or to get 2 mana or 2 health or some mixture, that would certainly be handy, but I also want to just sit still and attack 3 times in a row, even if I don't have a token that jives with attacking every single time. I really need to thin that undead herd as fast as possible. I'm still rolling an orange die and a yellow die. I can't make use of anything else though. Hopefully the yellow die will give me some mana though. As we know, the undead don't get any defensive dice, just the dice representing the minions, so 2 black dice, and here we go. Let's see if we can shred them up a little bit. We only need 2 damage to get through to kill one of the minions, so hopefully that pans out. Oh, what a bad roll. Okay, so we got ourselves this. Doesn't do anything on defense, but does actually hit me for a wound right now, which is not good, so we'll knock ourselves off by another health, unfortunately. And then we're going to have 2 damage going against one of the undead, which is enough with the 3 already on the card in order to kill off a minion, and we'll gain 1 XP for it. There's only 1 minion left now, so just 1 black die for the enemy. We've got our orange die to make another attack. I'm going to use the 2 free rerolls here. This token will certainly come in handy to try and get a really good roll off of this or to mitigate a wound from here. You'll see our health is getting kind of low. I might even use the health potion in the very near future. All right, let's see how this roll goes. Quite a light one compared to most of the stuff I've done so far. Oh, that was a terrible roll on every count. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to re-roll this one first. I'm more concerned about getting ourselves a good hit than anything else. Oh, just 1 sword. That's not good enough. Do I want to take the damage and then to re-roll the orange die again, or do I want to mitigate the damage I'm getting? Let's risk it and re-roll the orange die again. Come on. Oh, we got ourselves a mana that time, so that's at least somewhat decent. Phaedra's not really being all that powerful these days and starting to lose a lot of health. So what we're going to do in between this next action is going to use this health potion to get back 3 health because, well, times are getting tough right now. And Phaedra doesn't have the kind of power she needs. I probably should have used an action in order to recover to get some mana back, but I did not do that. And we're going to go ahead now, and we're going to use the last one here for an attack, but it doesn't give us any benefit. We do get our orange die, and we've been inside of a light space the entire time, so we've never been able to take care or use the shadow die, I should say. So the orange die here, and it's just going to be an orange versus a black again. So let's see how this goes. I'll roll this right here because this is actually a quick roll. So let's see how this... Actually, yeah, we'll use our mana to boost by 2 swords. That was the intent of hopefully getting something going. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. Oh, it's the worst. So we get hit again. I can't mitigate it, but I did get 2 through. So at least one of the minions has 1 damage right now, and it's going to go up to 3. Those undead, I mean, they soak up a lot of damage. They're making Phaedra look quite useless trying to take them down. So as of right now, we're going to go ahead and flip over the activation token for Phaedra, and we're going to move back over to Mathrin, who's going to need to come in. And as you can see, he's in a little bit of trouble because he's got to make choices between the fallen angels that are coming around the corner, and they have a ranged attack and a melee attack, so he would be within range if he's just in front of the demonic door, and he'd still be in range of the undead because the undead have a magical item that can shoot 1 space away. So if he gets close, he's going to be in a bit of trouble here. I need to be 1 space away from my enemies because I currently have the fire chain attached. I'm going to go ahead and have Mathrin move right into the same space as Phaedra to get as far away from the fallen angels as possible so that they only get 1 attack when they activate versus 2. Now, the only disadvantage to doing this strategically, because it is good for avoiding 1 extra attack from the fallen angels that I probably can't handle both mobs at the same time, is that on the fire chain, when I do an attack action, I can move the defender 1 zone toward me and then add 2 fire condition tokens to them if I do this. Because of this movement to get away from the fallen angels, I don't have enough movement to get 1 space further into the chamber away from the undead to then pull them towards me as part of an attack action using the fire chain to put fire on them. So that's going to have to held off for another day, but that would have been really cool if I had the extra movement. I'm just doing a quick look to make sure I've got nothing abilities-wise that can help me there. No, I do not. Matherin's turned into quite the powerhouse really fast. I mean, this weapon here, bringing in a yellow and orange die by itself is crazy. Plus that attack ability, if I could actually use it, but I can't right now, is pretty nuts. And then the steel gauntlets on top of it, bringing in another yellow die for 1 mana. I mean, 3 dice, that's pretty good. I'd be able to go even crazier if I could get this thing looped around here to boost up the attack to an attack spell, but I only have 1 mana. It's not really going to help me in this situation. So I'm going in with these 3 dice. As we know, the undead don't have any defensive dice, but there's 1 black die. Now it's worth mentioning I do still have 1 mana left, so if I want to use that on my Rugged Kilt for Matherin, I can get 2 free rerolls if I really need them. But we'll see how this goes first. Oh, that's a pretty good roll. Oh, wow, that's a nasty roll from the enemy. So undead-wise, not going to use the hand symbol, but would wound me for 1. I'm okay with that. I don't think I'm going to use the mana to spend right now. No, let's save it for the next attack. So that is going to be, looking at everything I can total up here, it's going to be a 4 attack, which is good because I have 3 already on the mob card. So one of those minions is definitely dying. So Matherin gets an XP for killing off the minion, up to 1 now. He's starting from the very bottom at this point. He also took that damage, as you can see right here, from the scratch of the enemy. He does get 1 mana off the die, so that's definitely a positive. So he'll add that to his pool, which could certainly help him here on the next attack. And we also have 2 damage left on the leader. We only need 3 more to kill off the mob. So with the last action, we're going to make another attack. Matherin's last action is a regular attack here, not using the special ability because we're currently in the same zone. I get these 2 dice, paying a mana of my 2 that I have to gain an extra yellow die, and there's no black dice left because all the minions are dead, which is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and discard that mana. We're going to roll the dice. We have 2 damage on the leader. We need 3 to kill it. Let's see how this goes. Ha! We got exactly what we needed. All right, so Matherin's jumped up to 4 XP, and Faye gains 2 because the leader died as well, and is jumping up to 11 XP, crawling her way up to 18 to go to level 5, which could be good for her and terrible for the roaming monster that's likely to come in our future. The 2 items that Matherin gets off of the undead are these 2 right here, the Ritual Skull, which is a very cool one. When you kill an enemy with a magical attack, deal 3 wounds to another enemy in the dungeon. Pretty cool, but it's a one-handed item, so wouldn't work in connection with the fire chain right now. It is a magical item though, so that's good. The other one I got is a Royal Mace, one-handed weapon. It's dual wield, so in other words, you can attack with another one that's similar and kind of tie those dice together. And this one ignores 1 black die, so it's pretty cool. But for now, I'll put those in the bag because I really like this fire chain. I think it'll come in handy, and that's quite a bit of dice to use. Plus, I love that ability to put fire conditions on people. That's going to do it for Matherin, and at this point, the enemies are going to activate. The Fallen Angels activate next, and I've already used one of their movement in order to get in position to use one of their attacks. And they had the ability to attack melee in the same space or from range. And right now they definitely can attack from range, so they'll stop right here, which is an orange die coming up against us. And they also say when they get the hand symbol off an attack, the defender drops 2 shields for each hand symbol. Now, it's worth mentioning when 2 of my heroes are in the same space and enemies are attacking that space, I can choose which hero takes the hit. In this case, even though both my characters are very low on mana, so boosting things isn't all that great, I have some amazing armor on Phaedra. She gets 3 blue dice out of the gates. That is probably who I want to use, so we'll be adding 3 blue dice to the 2 black and 1 orange being thrown at us. All right, here's hoping that I can defend against this attack. So I only have to deal with this 1 attack, and then it's right back to my turn. So here we go. We got ourselves, oh, that's a nasty hit. Okay, well, at least I got 2 right there, so we can block 2 of them. We take 1, we take another one, so that's 2 damage through on Phaedra. And this right here does state, oh no, it does state if we get the hand symbol here, then their ability on the Fallen Angels is the defender gets -2 shield. So it completely negates this. So it is going to get 4 damage through. Oh my gosh, Phaedra just died. Well, lesson learned that sometimes choosing the individual who has the most armor isn't necessarily the best choice if they have kind of low health, because technically I had 7 health on Matherin. Now, I had no idea that 4 damage was going to get through that quickly. That was pretty brutal, and everything just worked out flawlessly for that attack to be nasty on me. So all of my health is gone. What happens here is I'm KO'd. So Phaedra is down. She falls over sideways, and when her turn comes back around again in order for her to stand up, then I flip over this Lifebringer token to its gray side to bring her back up, and at that point she gets 3 health and her allotment of mana and goes forward. If we lose another hero in a KO'd fashion from that point on, we lose the scenario. So way in the back there, you'll see Phaedra kind of flopped over on the side. At this point, we are now done activating the enemies. Now, in terms of leveling up, we have 4 health on Matherin, so no level up there, and 11 on Phaedra, so no level up there. So we're going to the darkness track, which is going to the last position on the front side of the track, which is going to be a roaming monster coming in at level 3-4. Well, if Phaedra going down wasn't bad enough, we now have a gigantic monster showing up here. This is the Incubus Lord. This thing has 10 health per hero, so 20 health total. Comes in with 2 treasure tokens. One of them is epic, randomized. One of them is common, which was randomized, again, drawn from the bag. One of them is fixed epic. So in other words, when we kill this thing, 2 epic loot and 1 common loot to the person that takes it down. Pretty crazy. We'll go through its abilities later on, but they look pretty crazy. I'm going to activate Matherin first going into this hero phase, and what's awesome is we can actually use the Fire Chain's ability. The first thing I'm going to do is an attack action. It says move the defender 1 zone towards you. So we're going to pull them through the door with the Fire Chain, putting 2 fire tokens on those fallen angels. We're going at them with these 2 as well for an attack, plus 1 mana spend to get an extra yellow die. Now, these fallen angels don't have the kind of HP that the undead had at 5. They only have 3, but what's nasty about them is they come in with 3 defense for their leader, which is insane. And then on top of it, getting the 1 black die per minion. So, I mean, that is a handful of dice that it could, that could really throw a wrench into things. I don't have any mana to really do anything else. I can't really manipulate anything. And we're currently, technically, still in light spot, so no shadow die. Let's go ahead and see how this pans out. I'm a little bit terrified. Come on. Oh, the hand symbols. Okay, good. Well, on defense, the hand symbols mean nothing, so complete wash. Nothing on these defense dice. This is 1 defense. This is blank. I have no rerolls. This is a really poor roll on my. This is a chance for me to get through, and it just did not work at all, especially in the orange die. That's brutal. 2 swords, so 1 of them blocked. So literally just 1 mana coming back and 1 hit. Well, I'm going to do the exact same attack I just did. I'm going to spend the 1 mana that I have in order to gain the extra yellow die from the steel gauntlets and rolling everything again, hoping for better results. Now, this is getting a little bit terrifying because, well, we're trapped in a corner, and if I chose to leave with Matherin, well, I'm leaving Phaedra in a situation where when she comes back up with a Lifebringer token, she'll only have 3 health. So she could get pounded to death. I really need to thin these fallen angels out or we could be in big trouble here. And of course, there's always the opportunity where Phaedra could come back up, try to attack her way through, and take black wounds on the die when they roll their black dice, and die just trying to attack her way out. So this is a pretty tight scenario right now. Let's see if we can pull this off. Oh my gosh, they're getting so much defense, it's killing me. So, oh, it's the worst. Nothing about this, guys, is going well. So, as of right now, I can't, oh, Jesus is bad. Okay, so we're going to take 1 wound on Matherin that I cannot do anything about, so that's unfortunate. And then we are going to, so that deals with this. This is a blank. The hand symbol means nothing. The defense blocks literally everything we have, and we just gain 2 mana. So literally, we did an attack to just gain 2 mana. So we are going to go back through this event again. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I can't think of anything else I could potentially do at the moment that could help this. Maybe, I could try and use dark magic to hit, to deal 3 wounds and thin them. That actually wouldn't be all that bad of an idea. But I don't have, yeah, actually I could do that. I could do that. So we're going into the 3rd action right now, but before the 3rd action happens, I've got 2 mana that I can spend. So instead of banking on another attack and having something like what just happened happen again, where we don't have anything get through, let's guarantee something actually happens. So we're going to go ahead and spend a mana to twist this to the next position to dark magic, which is a very powerful ability that I have on the wizard, and we're going to pay 1 to take 2 wounds. So we're going to take a hit, which is also just as dangerous, but we do have a health potion I can take immediately afterwards to get ourselves back up, and we can deal 3 wounds to 2 different enemies in the dungeon. So we're going to be able to deal 3 wounds to the fallen angels, which will kill 1 of the minions, and 3 wounds to the Incubus Lord. So at this point, Matherin is going to go up by 1 XP because it just killed off one of those minions. Also going to immediately use a health potion afterwards to bump his health back up because, well, we are on the edge of death here. We can't take too many people needing Lifebringer tokens coming back to life, so we need to make sure we're okay. And now we're going to go ahead and do another attack. Just before we go ahead with that attack, I'll show you how the mob card looks. We still have the 2 fire conditions that'll trigger later on and 1 heart. If we get lucky and we get 2 on their first activation, that will wipe one of the fallen angels away. So that's good news, that 1 could potentially be killed off, maybe more if we get a really good roll on those fire rolls. In terms of the Incubus Lord, it already has 3 damage on it, which is nice, but that's really just a very small chunk of the 20 damage we need to inflict on it to kill it. So at this point, we have absolutely no mana whatsoever, which is unfortunate, but we are going to go ahead and make an attack action here. So we're going to get our orange and yellow die. We don't gain anything from the benefit that's here, and we don't have any ability to pool anything else beyond what we have here, but we do only have 1 black die going into the fray because there's only 1 minion now, but there's still 3 defensive dice for the leader, which is pretty nasty. So let's go ahead and roll this. We'll roll right here and just to see how this pans out. If I get lucky, I can get something through, but having 3 defense dice going up against that is pretty harsh. It has to be, oh, we might have gotten lucky there. Okay, so we might have gotten a little bit through. So we're able to get ourselves, we get 1 hit, first of all, for the black die. 1 mana comes back, and we get 1 damage through, which isn't a ton, but it puts us in a better position to be more successful when the fire conditions trigger. Now in this case, it is worth mentioning that the 3 steps of resolving attack are rolling the attack and defense dice, and then choosing to use abilities. In most cases during this playthrough, I'm choosing my abilities up front. You do have the ability to use abilities after you roll, and then resolve after that. So basically the 3 steps are roll your attack and defense dice, resolve your abilities or anything you can potentially spend mana on or to boost things or to reroll things, and then you resolve the actual dice results. Now, just because I want to push through here and kill off one of the fallen angels, I'm actually going to go ahead and spend the mana as part of that last attack, even though I've cleared the dice away at this point, because we know at this point, whatever I do is just going to add to it. And we're going to go ahead and roll another yellow die and see what we get here. Remember, we can only trigger the attack ability 1 time. So if I get another mana out of this, I can't just trigger this thing again within the same attack. So we got ourselves 1 more. So that's good enough to give us the 3 damage on the fallen angel minion, killing off another one and boosting Matherin up to 6. So sometimes when you get those, when they get that mana as a result of your initial roll, it's very beneficial to turn it around right away and use it. Matherin's turn is now done, and Phaedra begins her turn. She's first going to use the Lightbringer token to stand back up and go to 3 health and her maximum amount of mana, which is currently 5. Phaedra is back up on her feet. We need to draw tokens from the bag. There are none left, so all the discarded tokens go back into the bag and we draw 3. So Phaedra got a movement point, yellow die, and the ability to draw another token to get another action. So 4 actions potentially here going for Phaedra, and maybe more, depending on what comes out of the bag when she draws that next one. So the first thing I want to do is attack. So we're going to go ahead and flip this over to get a yellow die. We have a orange die off of the Tainted Sword. We're in the same space, which is good. I'm going to use a mana to boost it by 2 swords. We really want to make sure that I kill this thing so it's not hurting us as we run away. If I need to kick it as I attack, I'll do it. Because again, remember, you can spend things as you wish up front if you want to and save things for later, which I typically like to do is, most of the way I've been playing, just so you guys know, is I've been saving for later. I typically will spend what I really want to spend up front with the dice roll, but you can always wait until after the attack and defending roll to make the decision on some of that stuff. But if you're just spending mana on every ability all the time, you're going to come into the next action or activation with, well, very little ability to plan unless you're sitting around just restoring and recovering yourself constantly. So I try to avoid that, which keeps your turns kind of a little more interesting every single time. But there's moments like Matherin just had where it's a perfect opportunity to get that extra one in there and kill off one of the minions. So we're going to go ahead and roll some dice. We got these 2 right here. We have a guaranteed 2 swords going in. In terms of dice that the Fallen Angels have, they have 3 blue dice at this point. So there's still quite a bit we got to get through in order to make this work, but we'll give it a shot. So here's hoping. I do have some mana to manipulate things if I want to, though, so that's good. All right, that's a lot. Okay, so, yeah, yikes. Okay, well, how do I get around this? So technically right now I have 4. So 1's gotten through. I need 2 more. So I could go ahead, which I might do, and spend this mana. Actually, well, sorry, this sword at the gates negates one of these shields. So it's like it doesn't matter. So in this case, we got 4, 2, so 2 have actually gotten through. So we just need to get rid of 1. So let's go ahead and spend a mana to do our combat reroll, which will give us a reroll of 1, and hopefully we can get rid of one of these shields. If we do, that leader's dead. Oh, no, it came back. Worse. Okay, that's not going to work. But what we could do now, it says here, deal 1 wound to the attacker or defender. Technically, I probably should have just done that first instead of rolling that die, because the kick is a guarantee. So it was kind of silly on my part, but because I was blind and didn't do it, I'm going to pay for my foolish mistake. We now have enough damage with that kick in there to kill off the leader. All right, we've also bumped up XP. We got 1 for killing it, 2 because it's a leader. And Matherin also went up by 2 from 6 to 8. And Faye has 14, so getting closer and closer to that level 3 requirement of 18. Now at this point, we need to get that shard and we need to head south as fast as humanly possible. I don't think sitting around and trying to kill off the Incubus Lord is really going to help us in this situation. We need to get moving. The darkness track is ready to flip and things will likely get more and more time consuming to try to get down to that forge. So let's go ahead and do Phaedra as a move action for the second action with a +1 move. That will allow her to move into the space with the objective token, take it with the second movement point, gaining her 5 XP, which is going to certainly ramp things up, but that's okay. We got to make progress. And then we're going to move 1 more space right back to where she is. So Phaedra has gotten all of the objective tokens, now has 19 XP, and is back in the doorway where she started that movement, but she now has all of the shards. We are now ready to book it to the forge as fast as possible. So we're going to go ahead right now and spend this token to move 2, and it's going to allow us to draw a token from the bag. So let's go ahead and move our 2, pull that token, see what we get. Phaedra is going to begin running down the corridor, and out of the token bag, we're going to go ahead and draw 1. We'll see what we get here. If we get really lucky, it'll be a green one, but chances of that are probably pretty thin. Oh my gosh, we got it. We got it, we got it, we got it. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. What are the freaking chances of that? That's insane. That is like, I think I only have 2 in the bag. I mean, we just refreshed the bag last turn, but like that is nuts. I mean, talk about an exciting turn. Okay, so that's amazing. Wow. So we're going to take another move action with Phaedra. That was unexpected. So Phaedra is now at the door of the final chamber room. There is a mob behind it, and we are definitely, well, yeah, actually, this will be a great time to crack that door. And we just finished that action, so we're going to now draw a token from this and see what we get. But we will be able to open that door before we trickle into level 5 territory, which is a good thing for us. So let's go ahead and see what we get. We got 2 rerolls. Okay, so that, if I'm opening the door, I'm going to lose it anyway because it's part of an attack. So I'm going to choose to move, which basically burns this one. That's fine. This door is cracking open. We at least get to find out what's behind it. Well, this doesn't sound good. A blood ritual room. Discard all of those mob tokens in this chamber without effect. Spawn a roaming monster in the furthest zone of this chamber. You've got to be kidding me. That is insane. All zones in this chamber with a treasure token receive an additional treasure token. Oh my gosh, that is nuts. Now, it's worth mentioning something here. There are no other treasure tokens in this chamber. I even checked the setup, and I'm wondering why there's a rare token just floating around the game board that is likely was beside an item that I acquired earlier. So that token should be inside the treasure bag. It is not inside the chamber itself. That likely happened during this video just now because that was not there earlier. I just forgot to put that one back in. But yeah, the top part's still going to happen, which is really nasty. We're going to be spawning a roaming monster in the furthest zone. So I can choose basically the one on the left or the right. This playthrough just gets better and better. Look what we got here. We have a more powerful version of the Undead Queen that we took down in a one-shot situation in the tutorial. She's back inside the chamber at the end of this scenario in the blood ritual room, ready to defend the forge. One thing I forgot to do earlier in Phaedra's turn was when we took out the fallen angels before I went crazy and ran away, I forgot to actually take the rewards from killing that mob. So no major gameplay impact except for the fact I didn't have them equipped or anywhere near me. So here are the ones that the fallen angels were carrying. They had the devil's crossbow on them, and then they had a runic ring. And this runic ring says move one mob in line of sight, one zone. That's not going to probably help me going into a chamber where there's all tight quarters anyway. The devil's crossbow could be good because at least it gives me ranged, and that's actually not bad. Might even be better than Tainted Sword. And again, I'm doing this retroactively because I should have done it before I ran and opened up the door. But hey, at least it doesn't change anything gameplay-wise. I am going to put it and equip it. It's probably not going to help me because my real goal here is to get to the forge and interact with it. That's what I'm trying to do. One correction that I just made because, well, I'm spawning too many mobs and thinking about mobs more often than I am roaming monsters. There's no mob item that comes along with a roaming monster. It's never happened prior and it's not going to happen going forward. So that mob item of the serpent staff went back the deck. I went ahead and draw 2 treasure tokens from the bag and got 2 epics, which is insane. So this thing is going to have a fixed epic with it and then 2 epics on top of it. So if we kill the Undead Queen, that's 3 epic treasures. Here's the strategic thought process here. If I move with my final movement point into the room, then when this Undead Queen activates, she is going to be able to get within line of sight of me, which is going to be bad. So what I'd rather do is actually step further away to be able to be out of range of her to keep her away from me. I'd rather have to run through her than have to actually deal with any kind of attack coming from her. I'm only at 3 health, remember, so I don't want to risk it. So with my final movement point, I'm just shifting off into the darkness, and technically there is a fountain right here, which I could interact with in the future to boost up my health, but I might be trying to make a mad dash, if I can survive long enough, towards the forge right through the Undead Queen, if I can pull it off. Enemy phase activations begin as both my heroes are now done. Looking at the Undead Queen, it says her first bullet point is if there is more than 1 hero in line of sight, then she attacks each hero in line of sight. That's not going to happen, so we skip to the next bullet point. It says if there is only 1 hero in line of sight, she does that. So she can't actually see anybody in line of sight, and that was purposely done by myself by dodging out of the doorway. So she's going to go ahead and she's going to move at this point in order to try to find somebody to shoot. So she's going to move 2 as she heads towards the door. She's now resolved. Let's talk about the Incubus Lord. The Incubus Lord's first bullet says, if in a light zone, which it is, then it's going to take 5 wounds and move to the closest shadow zone. So that's all it's doing for right now, but I'm going to read you the other bullets so you can get an idea as to what this thing's trying to do in the future if it had the chance, and it might still have that chance. In a future activation, the second bullet states, if there is a hero up to 3 zones away, regardless of line of sight, place it in the zone with the furthest hero up to 3 zones away, regardless of line of sight, add a fire condition to that hero, and attack them. On the bottom of the card, if 1 hand symbol is rolled during an attack with this thing, after combat you resolve all fire tokens on the defending hero using orange dice instead of yellow. It can only happen once per combat, but if there's enough fire tokens on your hero, that can be pretty deadly. We're now heading into the level up phase where Phaedra has definitely got the XP she needs. She's up to 19, so she's going to be boosting up to level 5, which is pretty crazy that that happened after all these roaming monsters showed up, because that would have made them that much more powerful. For timing on that was really good. Now, the other bonus to this is that it's going to give Phaedra 2 health and 2 mana. So she's actually getting a boost just out of the level up itself, which is a plus. So going up to 5 health here, and then 2 more mana into the pool for her. For the skill, I'm going to choose to go all the way to the top level for Tailored Swiftness, so we gain all these 3 tokens into the bag and we remove 1 of any other token. Now we head into the darkness phase where we're going to move to the other side of the darkness track itself. It flips over to this smaller side here, and it's going to continue to loop from here on in. This is the moment to make a big time push towards the forge and activate the forge to forge the demon artifact and complete the mission. I'm going to activate Mathrin first. He's going to use 3 actions back to back to back to use 6 movement points to make it all the way to the forge. He will be going straight through the Undead Queen, and as it states in the rulebook, he will take some reaction damage, which will be 1 wound as he goes right through. Mathrin loses a health on the way in, and now Phaedra is going to activate. We'll go ahead into the draw bag and draw 3 tokens out, but we likely will get the movement probably through these tokens to get to the forge and maybe even activate it within 1 action if we get lucky. We have a +2 right there. That might do it because, yeah, that is actually going to do it right there. That's literally what we needed. So if we go ahead right now and use this on the first action, that's 4 movement points. So 1, 2, 3. And while in here, if one of the heroes, well, all heroes are in here with all the shards, uses 1 movement point, we forge the demon artifact and win the scenario. Now that, my friends, was a lot of fun, came right down to the wire, and to be completely honest, if we had been maybe 1 turn back from where we were at just then, or even worse, if Mathrin had been 1 space further away, he wouldn't have had the movement that he needed to be in the forge to be able to pull it off inside of this round of play, which would have given all the roaming monsters the opportunity to come after our heroes and potentially kill one of them. And if one of them was to die or be KO'd, we'd lose. So it literally came right down to the wire. It's pretty crazy how this game flows, and it's worth mentioning that I did play this in a way, in most cases when I was making my attacks, I was going ahead and getting my attack dice, my defensive dice together, pooling that, rolling it. I'd also gone ahead and chosen some abilities up front. It does state in the rulebook, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that this is a 3-step process. You can, do that if you wish and pay for things up front to add to what you have, or you can do it after your roll. So you can choose, and you have that flexibility, and that's part of the reason I like this game so much right now, is that the mitigation of the dice is so good on every side. Not only can you mitigate your dice as the attacker and boost your attacks, but you could also try to mitigate the nastiness coming from the defensive dice or the monster dice to stop you from taking damage. There's a lot going on in terms of all of that. And then when you add in the class-specific abilities that are unique to each character, that's really what makes Massive Darkness 2 a massive step up from the very first iteration, which was very, very basic, to say the least. Now, overall, this is still a dungeon crawler, so for some people, that is going to miss the mark. For other people, it's going to be exactly what they're looking for. But honestly, if you're looking for a dungeon crawler that plays quickly, because again, if this is not being filmed and I was playing this myself, I wouldn't be explaining my way through things and I'd be just blitzing my way through the gameplay. You can really have a lot of fun with this one. This has a lot to offer, and I haven't even seen or dug into the campaign play yet, again, because I'm butting right up against a move, which is really unfortunate because a lot of people wanted to see some campaign action, but with everything being torn down and timing the way it is, and as of the release of these videos, the prior one that you saw last and this one here, I pre-filmed these in the first week of June. So as of right now, I'm in the middle of probably unpacking a whole bunch of boxes at the new place and trying to reorganize my entire studio. But I had a lot of fun with this, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it too. And what I'm hoping to do in the future, in between some other videos I'd like to do inside of July, one of them for sure is going to be Burn Cycle. That's going to be a blast. Is to look at the campaign play and to see what we can do around this. Now, I can't promise it's going to happen inside of July, but I really want to dabble into it a little bit. But based on this move taking up the majority of June for me, it's going to kind of put a big old wrench in that plan. So we'll put it on the back burner for now. Don't worry, I won't forget, and we'll see if we can bring this thing back around. Very much like I've done in the past with Nemesis, for instance, where I've done multiple playthroughs of it on the channel over time. So we will probably get this one back again. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. And again, if this releases during the month of June when videos are very sparse and you want to know more about the move that's happening in terms of my old studio and what it looked like and a walkthrough through that, as well as the new studio, which I'll be releasing videos for, all that's going to be in exclusive videos only found on my Patreon as I move forward with that in the new location. It's going to be a lot of fun because I'm going to start bolstering those exclusive videos in the month of July and forward, and we're going to have some fun with it. And this is something I've never really been able to explore in the channel before, just based on my current studio and its limitations, but we are going to have some fun going forward. So I'd really love to see you there, and if you love the channel, would appreciate your support. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.